SpotX accepted a strategic investment from our TL Group in September of last year. And so following up on that, we had to evaluate our business and where our customers are based. And within EMEA, on the agency side, many regional budgets are overseen by agencies here in London. And also in London and in Paris, you have global heads for many of the agency groups as well. So as our global head of demand, it made sense to relocate from Denver, which SpotX is a Denver-based company, product and engineering there, in market, so I could have more direct exposure with our clients. And it's been very interesting to talk with both marketers and agencies in depth since arriving to learn more about their challenges as we shift toward more programmatic procurement for media. I think the most interesting place to start is to talk about the client side. And in my conversations with marketers, it's very clear that the practice of marketing is shifting at a very foundational level. Within global organizations, so blue chip advertisers, you see this shift within the C-suite where CMOs are really being tasked with much more than customer acquisition, retention, and engagement. They're almost system and data operators and integrators and activators. And so the collaboration and the success of the collaboration between the CMO and the CTO, or the Chief Information Officer, if there's one available, has been a very strong indicator at how successful the businesses have been at activating programmatic strategies. I think that's why we've seen companies like Netflix, really lean into programmatic and lead the charge, along with CPG companies. Because if you think about what those organizations have in common, they're very comfortable with using data. Procter & Gamble probably has the most information about its customers and prospective customers than any company in the world back before the digital era. So it's no surprise to me to see these organizations lean into media procurement practices that enable them to use that information to gain more return from investments of marketing, to ultimately shift it from a cost center to directly attributable to sales. And if you can tighten that gap, it enables further investment because the optics are clear. And so that shift on the client side is resulting in a lot of shifts in the agency business as well. Because not every marketer in the world has successfully made that shift. Not every culture is conducive to that type of collaboration. And that's where I think that the agencies have really been successful, some, of course, more than others, naturally, at guiding their clients through really making a culture shift internally to enable those data assets to be closer aligned to marketing activities. And so you see within Publicis, for example, what we saw with Viviki as a very direct example of taking what was a fragmented and isolated programmatic business unit within the traders of audience on demand and integrating them within the associated media agencies within the group. All other holding companies have made similar moves to tighten the alignment between planning and buying functions within media agencies and the associated trading desks, even if those trading desks still exist as discrete entities. So you see this niche thing, which began as RTB, and now obviously we all talk about programmatic, really become a new paradigm that is foundationally changing the makeup of marketing, both on the client side and on the agency side. We're very excited. We're in beta now with a new offering called Curated Marketplaces. And really the place to start with Curated Marketplaces is private marketplaces. And so as I was mentioning a few minutes ago, the technology behind the addressability of programmatic and the ability to have greater levels of granularity and targeting and transparency was popularized by auction-based environments, or RTB, which doesn't make a lot of sense in a market where there's a very limited commodity. So if I have people, barging down my doors if I'm selling a bike, then I don't need to put it on eBay, right? It makes sense if I can't find a buyer and I need to source some buyer, then I can turn to the open market. In instances like premium video, you don't have that supply surplus, you have a supply constriction. And so the adoption of RTB, or auction-based methodologies, has been limited. And so we've seen a lot of interest and traction on the premium side of the market, not for opening up inventory programmatically in an auction, but for opening up inventory programmatically with a commitment. And that's fancy talk for private marketplaces, because the means of facilitation, the way you actually do that, is via deal IDs in technology platforms which map to private marketplaces. The problem is scaling that. And so if you talk to the people who are actually executing these deals, the way it works is so challenging from a scale perspective that when you launch many private marketplaces, they become difficult to manage. On the trading desk side of my conversation with trading desks, I heard one example where the procurement team within the desk discussed with a number of different media owners to create a library of always-on private marketplace deals with guidance for traders to activate different categories of private marketplaces depending on the client brief. Of course, there's going to be demographic similarity or contextual similarity to different segments of inventory that the desk may need to access. The problem is actually getting all these private marketplaces included on any given plan. And of course, the desk is going to be overseeing many different campaigns. So when you actually have campaigns that are active, the diligence to go back and actually update the existing campaign configurations for new available supply. Curated Marketplaces helps with this because SpotX takes on the burden of creating, packaging, collating similar inventory, of course, with the desk really in the driver's seat, in determining either a contextual category or a demographic category or a performance-based goal within which to curate multiple private marketplaces into a single deal ID that the desk can target. I think that this will be a very key means by which private marketplaces can scale from being really a solution just for the premium end of the market to one that can achieve much more scale while leveraging all the brand safe and high transparency that private marketplaces have afforded on the premium broadcaster side. As I was discussing on the marketer side, I think that there's a lot of interest in further activating these strategies. Agencies, of course, have made their own shifts. Publishers, for us, are really the ones who have the most opportunity here because there's so much clamor on the buy side, particularly if we look at a market like Germany. The disparity between how much activity there is on the buy side for wanting programmatic access to inventory compared to what's available on the supply side has created an incredible opportunity for German publishers to lean into the shift and capture really significant amounts of share compared to other companies which may not adopt programmatic practices as quickly. Of course, the key is leveraging technology to make sure you don't undermine your direct sales efforts and that you don't cannibalize a very strong existing business, but that you leverage the incrementality and actually create more yield from your existing inventory, which is what that's what we're in business to do.